And this represents the second part, or the focus lesson for the second part of Chapter 1, Section 2, where we are going to start talking about using variables. This one here says evaluate the expression for s equals 4 and t is equal to 8. Let this thing focus a little bit. This is something we haven't seen before, so again, let's look at it. And if you notice up in the part, it says see problem 3, and here is problem 3 that we're going to kind of discuss right now. Problem 3 gives us the situation of a value of expression for x equals 5, y equals 2. They give us this problem here, which is pretty close, but you know, whenever you're using the book, you don't just want to jump in through problems. I want things that are pretty close to what I have, and I think this is pretty close to what I have right now, where I have numbers inside of parentheses. So let's see what happens here. First thing is it says x equals 5, y equals 2. I notice here that it took the x times y and turned it into 5 times 2. Kept the squared, kept the division. X times y I turned into another 5 times 2. Looks to me like it did both multiplications, turned 5 times 2 into 10 squared divided by 10. It evaluated the exponent first because remember exponents go before multiplication division. 10 squared turned into 100 divided by 10, which is 10. So let's look and see if that helps us out. So number 27 has st in parentheses squared divided by st squared inside of parentheses. So carefully substituting, using kind of what they did there, s turns into 4 times 8 in parentheses with the squared on the outside. St squared turns into 4 times 8 squared, going from there. Now we have to do the order of operations. In this first set of parentheses, the only thing that's inside this parentheses is 4 times 8, so we're going to turn that into 32 squared divided by 4 times 8 squared. It doesn't really matter as long as you're going again in order. This first parentheses is simplified. That should be a squared on the inside. Now let's deal with the second parentheses over here, but inside the second parentheses, because 8 squared, because it has an exponent, this is actually going to get turned first. So we're going to turn that into 32 squared divided by 4 times 8 squared would be 8 times 8, which would be 64 there. Again, this has not been simplified yet, so we have to do that. 32 is, 64 is not, and we're still on the p portion of our order of operations, so we're still in the parentheses. 4 times 64, which we need to do, so we'll again turn this into 32 squared divided by, and I'll take my calculator and do 4 times 64, which is 256. This parentheses has been simplified to one number. That parentheses has been simplified. Now we're on to the e for exponents, which we have right there. 32 squared means I want to do 32 times 32, which is 1024 divided by 256. And so I do 1024 divided by 256, making a lot of mistakes, which is 4 as your answer there. So the key thing when you get in this exercise today is to make sure you take your time, make sure you select the proper parts. I would not try to do too many things at once, because otherwise it's going to probably cause you to make a mistake somewhere that you don't want to make. Next question we're going to look at is 33, which has a very complex look. 3s to the third t plus t all over s. So being careful again, definitely not to make any silly mistakes here. Let's substitute carefully. So 3 in parentheses times 4, which is what s turns into, going to the third, that is times t, so times 8, and then plus t, which means plus 8 all over s, which is 4. And this is just something to test your ability to be organized. So again, take your time. We are on the p portion of this, which is parentheses, and if there's any parentheses that need to be simplified right now, we need to do it. Right now I think that is the part inside parentheses, which is 3 times 4. So we're going to turn that into 12 to the third times 8 plus 8 all over 4. This is not a parentheses anymore because we have one number only in there, so the parentheses is done. We will move on to the E portion, which is exponents. So looking for any exponents in this problem, which we have right here. 12 to the third, again following the scratch work, means take the base of 12, expand it out 3 times, and see what we get, which is 1728. That's this part times 8 plus 8 all over 4. Now what we do is keep going. So on this top here we have 1728, which has already been simplified, times 8 plus 8. We have a multiplication, we have an addition. From what I remember, multiplication goes first, so we want to do 1728 times 8, which is 13,824. Plus 8 over 4. Now we add the 8. 24 plus 8 is 32, so 13,832 over 4, which now again divide 13,832 divided by 4, which gives me 3458 as my answer. Again, I'll warn you just to make sure you take your time. Don't rush through this. You'll probably make a lot of mistakes if you do. Notice that I did not do 2 things at once. I could have done a whole bunch of different things to mess myself up, but if it is a difficult question, just make sure you definitely take one piece at a time so you don't make any silly mistakes in the process.